Hey guys, Scott Fishman here with a great guest, fresh off of his great matchup with Matt Riddle at Slaughterhouse. Alex Hammerstone, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Kind of just, since it's been a couple days, kind of reflect on the match that you had with Matt Riddle, and then also, there was a report that you received a bonus because of the quality of the match that you guys had. So just take me through how you think everything went.
Obviously the outcome wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want to end my night getting hit in the old ball bag, but at the same time, I went out there with the guy who's held the company's number one prize championship for the last year, and I took it to the limit, and I proved that I am the greatest champion this company has ever had. And, I beat the hell out of Matt Riddle for a good 15 minutes. And I think I did so in a quite dominant fashion in a way that hasn't been done up to this point. So I was very happy to display that. Obviously, to get something like the match of the night bonus is such a cool thing. And they're not only great to get some extra money in your pocket, but just, that feeling that the work you're putting in is being appreciated. And sometimes we give a lot, and we feel like, is anyone even noticing? Does this hard work paying off? Is there any point to this? And those little things go a long way, because it lets you know, like, yeah, the extra work you put in preparing for this paid off, and here's us acknowledging that you were head and shoulders, above some other matches that night. And I don't want to word it that way, because honestly, there was a lot of great matches that night. So maybe in that way, it means even more.
Yeah. You of course had your great stint with MLW. You talked about it. You've talked about it before. Over 600 days as MLW heavyweight champion. You set off and wrestled elsewhere, and then made your return to MLW after your travels. Talk about just making the decision to come back at this point, and then comparing your the locker room and the feel of the company even just a little bit before you left to now, and kind of what have you felt?
Yeah, obviously, I did some things in the time away, and I had a lot of good experiences, and I had some not so good experiences, and one thing that I really learned was, the value of having something that you can sink your teeth into and really feel creative and get excited about in professional wrestling. And there was a couple months in that time away where I had nothing. I was just kind of floating around, and when that happens, it's a very dangerous spot for a pro wrestler, because this isn't an industry where you can just come to work, clock in, and kind of put in, your 9 to 5. You have to be inspired, and you have to be excited, and to be creative, and to be able to put forth something that people are going to be, captivated by and resonate with. And so when you lost all that passion, it's a kind of a vicious cycle. It's because not only was I stuck in the spot where there was nothing good happening for me, I started to kind of lose interest and lose confidence and lose all these things in myself, to where I stopped putting forth my best effort. And then it's like, if I'm not putting forth my best effort, it's probably going to be even less opportunities for me. And it just kind of snowballed in that direction. So when I talked to MLW about coming back, we talked about, you know, basically what I just said to you, avoiding that and going in a direction where it's like, I want to enjoy this. I want to be, doing something I feel passionate about, feel strongly about, and, could get those gears turning again. And it's been great. It really has revived my passion. I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders again, which is great, because there was some time where I wasn't.
And we've seen you in other places like TNA, for example. How committed are you to MLW in the long term, you'd say?
I mean, obviously, right now it's a little different than the first time I was there, where I was under a long term contract, and now I'm not. But at the same time, it's home to me, so I'm very invested in the product, and for every ounce they want to put effort and investment into me, I'm going to try to pay that back tenfold. And I want to be part of this company growing again. There's, MLW's had, some ups and downs. It's had boom periods. It's had lulls. There's been a lot of things that have like really negatively affected it, such as, I feel like when we hit, 2020, we were at our, peak. We were on, TV. We were doing, pay-per-views. We were doing all this stuff, and COVID just nuked it. And then coming out of that, obviously the formation of AEW and stuff, you know, companies started locking up a bunch of talent and all these factors. So, now we're at a point where, getting back with the company and kind of feeling things out. I'm seeing like the product is better than ever. And I think that the potential for growth is huge. And I just want to do whatever I can to contribute to that.
I think what's great right now with professional wrestling in general is there's this collaborative effort, this collaborative spirit going on. I mean, MLW partnering up with a number of promotions, including CMLL. We've seen MJF come back, made a couple of appearances. Kind of what did you make of that? And do you kind of see this as a kind of the olive branch or maybe a potential partnership with AEW, similar to what we see in other companies?
Yeah, obviously that was a very unexpected situation and a very pleasant surprise. It's always great to see Max. And it just goes to show how different the wrestling landscape is, right? Because that's the kind of thing you would never expect to happen years ago. But yeah, it's very cool. As far as what that can mean for the future between MLW and AEW, I don't necessarily think it's going to flourish into some, full on partnership, but it obviously goes to show that to some degree that the companies are willing to work with each other when it means good business. And if that means, me crossing over there or more of their stars crossing over here, the doors are open. It's just about who's going to walk through them.
And you speak of that, I think what's fun about MLW right now also is the fact that because of this collaborative, thing and going on in professional wrestling, you never know who you're going to see. Some returning faces like yourself, what happened earlier this year, but Karrion Kross and Scarlett, we saw that teaser. Kind of what do you make of his journey and that's the idea of him also coming back and MLW being that place that you can go home to in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I mean, I have tons of history with Cross. I was around when he first started training. I've wrestled him several times in different locations. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's one of the most charismatic, not only charismatic wrestlers, but charismatic people I've ever encountered in my life. So yeah, anytime he's going to be part of something, it's very exciting. Um, his first go around with MLW, we never got a chance to touch or interact. So who knows? Maybe things could be different this time. I think that's a match that fans will always be entertained with. But that being said, it just goes to show like the talent pool is just deep and it's getting deeper, and it's just more signal to to me that I gotta fucking stay on my toes.
What do you what do you want to see? You've been in when you were in MLW, you kind of virtually you've done everything. I mean, is there guys that you want to work with? I mean, kind of what do you kind of see for yourself in the next, couple months, you'd say?
I mean, there's so much talent there that I haven't worked with yet that I can say I want to work with. But that being said, hey, those guys should be signing up to work with me. I'm not one of these freaking marks who has his list of dream matches ready to go. Um, but that being said, it feels all new again. So it's like, yeah, I might have held the national title or I might have held the world championship, but it's like it doesn't. It feels new again. It feels like a new land to conquer. And that being said, there's only ever been one two-time champion, I believe, in the company's history, being Satoshi Kojima. So I want to break down that wall. Maybe I hold the tag team championships. Maybe I become the Grand Slam champion of the company. Who knows? But it's also not all about title belts. It's I have this chip on my shoulder where like that when I was talking with Max, that wasn't some hey, let's plan out this promo. That was just two guys having a real conversation. So yeah, I do have this chip on my shoulder about proving that the legacy I'm going to leave isn't from things I did 5 years ago. The legacy I'm going to leave is still being built, and I just want to build that. I want to create moments that people are going to remember. I want to create things that people are going to talk about, and we've already seen that happening. Um, And not to toot my horn, but my last two showings against Matt Justice, against Matt Riddle. Maybe it's a thing about guys named Matt, but I seem to be on fire right now, and I'm gonna keep having the best matches. If that match of the night bonus is a legitimate thing, and they say, hey, we're not gonna, it's not a participation award where we try to make sure everyone gets one, then I'm gonna keep chasing that, and I'm gonna keep trying to get that every single month because that when you're told you had the best match of the night, that feels damn good, and that's for me. It's not about oh hey, I got to make every fan say I had a 5-star match, but the quality of the match, just is another feather in my cap personally that I'm not against collecting.
Yeah. I think having that bonus is a great thing for the locker room, motivating factor, but also celebrating great effort. Because you even mentioned, and I think it's social media, the Paul London Austin Aries match that you also really appreciated as well. So it's great. You're a wrestling fan deep down, just like everybody else, it seems. So to appreciate others, but also take from those before you and appreciate that. I think that's a great thing. Um, we have some, the rest of the year coming up. What's the vibe you're getting when it comes to the future? Because you mentioned MLW had a momentum. They were on reels at one point. They were firing on all cylinders. They're taking a different route right now when it comes to these YouTube shows, these live events, which has gotten really great play. What do you want to see from the company in the next couple of months from your vantage point, from someone who's been there and kind of seen momentum being built?
Obviously the more the better. We could all say, hey, we want a weekly television deal and have pay-per-view, and who knows. There's some talks behind the scenes of things being worked out, but I don't specifically. I'm not saying we have to do any one thing. I think I just want to mostly see what I've been seeing, and that's a locker room full of people who are showing up to create something special, and um, there's the vibe back there is it's a team of guys who are trying to create the best wrestling product available right now. And if you want to go and watch MLW through the lens of this isn't as good, and these guys aren't as big as the other guys, and you come into it with that negative connotation, then you could pick it apart and do whatever you want as a wrestling fan. But if you want to watch it objectively, the talent is undeniable. I sat there watching the show, and I was just like, every match had something that kind of blew me away. So it's like, I just want that to continue. I want this group of guys, a mix of young, hungry people with talented veterans, with international stars, all providing their own flavor. I want them to keep killing it, and I think that's gonna kind of steer the ship exactly where it needs to go.
What do you think of Mads as the MLW champion right now after, one of those traveled veterans?
Listen, Mads Kruger literally came into the company simply to make my life hell. That's why he came in. That's the origin of Mads Kruger, is the antithesis to Hammerstone, and he spent a long time trying to bully me out of the company and trying to end my career, and it never happened. And now I'm back, and he has the championship. Well, I wanted to wrestle Matt Riddle for the championship. That's what was supposed to happen, but I ended up wrestling Matt Riddle for my prize to be a shot to the nards. So I'm more pissed off than ever when it comes to Mads Kruger being the champion, and I've
Fair enough.
I've been able to pick that big 7 foot piece of crap up for the Nightmare Pendulum before, and I'm thinking it's not the last time I'm gonna have done it.
All right. Well, fans, November 20th, MLW Don Gato Live. It's their collaboration. They're going to be at the Charleston Music Hall Thunder Studios Arena in Charleston, South Carolina. Love MLW working all these new places, or places they haven't run in a while. So that's going to be a lot of fun. What do you want to say to people, what that you have coming up, how they can follow you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, just follow my social media at Alex Hammerstone on Instagram and Twitter, Alexander Hammerstone on Facebook. Keep up with everything I got going on. Obviously, follow MLW, follow the YouTube, and yeah, man, I'm staying busy and cranking out content on my own personal agenda left and right. So go ahead and give me a follow, and yeah, follow the journey.
Awesome. Well, it was great seeing you back in MLW this year, and definitely looking forward to seeing what's coming up next. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, brother.